This is Eric Alexander, Six Arrows Consulting, and I'm excited to get to introduce to you today Julie Schniers. Hello, Julie.
Hey guys, thanks for having me, Eric.
You're going to enjoy this, everybody. And Julie, I'm looking forward to this as well. So thank you for making time for this.
Me too.
So let me tell everybody a little bit about you. Julie and I met last summer at a banking conference, and she gave a keynote speech. That's one of the things she does. And then I also got to hear her speak in a breakout session, and it was very practical. In fact, in some of my own strategic planning for the business a little bit later, I put a lot of the thoughts she shared there to work. And then we've stayed in contact off and on ever since. And I'm grateful for her. I'm grateful for her passion for people. Communication and connection and confidence are big deals to her. And she's a speaker. She's a coach. She's a consultant. She's a wife and a mom. She's a fellow Texan. If you drop down about 4.5 hours and go a little bit south and east of here, that's where Julie hangs out. So there's Julie.
Oh, thank you, Eric. That was such a kind intro. Thank you
And
so much.
let me tell them one more thing about you. One of the
Yeah.
things, I think it was brand new at the conference last summer, was a book you'd come out with.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Thank you.
the Leadership Level Up Journal, and I bought one and used it. So I'm on my second one right now, and it's really practical. It's a tool I use to go through and think about my week, think about my day, stay focused, stay centered around the things that are important. So, Julie, thank you for that.
Oh, Eric, thanks for using it. I mean, when I, created that, it was based off of leaders who were in the field doing their thing with their teams or their own businesses. And I was coaching them and having the same homework be something that I was giving out. And I was like, oh, I'll just create a PDF, right? That helps everyone since I'm hearing the same issues. And then it turned into, it'd be better as if I created a book other people could buy. But I'm busy and I'm a little bit, it's hard to nail me down on time, a little ADD, a little OCD. Let's be real honest. So when I created it, I wanted it to be for the busy leader, not a journal you write about your day in, as much as let's get focused. Let's, what's going to give you the most positive income or outcome tomorrow, the most impactful thing that you can do at the end and the beginning of a day for stress and peace and strength and to be able to show up as your best self. So for you to say you're using it makes my heart feel so happy, but thank you so much.
I
Appreciate
won't
you.
promise that I use it every day, but I am using it regularly, and when I do,
That's
it's
crazy.
helpful. And sometimes it's just 2 minutes at the start of the day, 2.5 minutes at the end of the day, a little longer at the start and end of the week. But thank you for that.
Oh, you're the best.
So I invited Julie to come have a conversation today. One of the things that's important to both of us is culture, and I wanted her to talk a little bit about recognition as part of culture. So let me just give you that for topic and let you take off for a little bit. And I'm sure I'll jump in and interrupt here soon.
Yeah, let's go. I mean, I'm so glad that this is something you're talking about because I, for one, do not believe that recognition and appreciation are as valued as they should be in order to help push culture in positive directions. So I know that Eric said earlier, I talk about communication, connection, and confidence. One of the key pieces when you are communicating with others, especially if you are a leader leading your team, and let's just pause for a hot second. Who's a leader? We all are, right? Whether you're leading in the boardroom, you're leading in the classroom, or you're leading your kids in your own living room, we're all leaders. So how you lead really does depend on how your circle of influence is following you and how well you do at leading links to communication, connection, and confidence. So grand scheme of things, we're all leaders. We're backing back up to let's frame it as you're leading a team, right? So if you're leading a team of others, do you want to know what the number one reason people leave their workspace is today?
Pretty sure I know what it is, but you
Yeah,
go ahead.
I mean, we're doing that. He's like, yeah, that's why we're doing the podcast. But lack of recognition and appreciation is it. It's not money. It's not time off. It is the lack of your leadership saying, I appreciate you and I'm recognizing the work you're doing, or, hey, we met this goal and Charlotte did it. Go Charlotte, right? Like we're missing those pieces. And I know it sounds silly. Maybe if you're an educator and you're thinking about teacher space, like, of course, kids like recognition. That's easy to think. Here's what you need to hear. We don't grow out of it. And too many leaders are like, okay, but we've got all these goals to hit. And that's way more important than pausing and having a team meeting and talking about the fact that Chuck pulled off his goals for the season. But is it?
Mm,
We are a to-do list box checking
yes.
society.
Yes.
And the one box that we forget to check is the most important box of all. And that is the people box, the
Mhm.
people who are making your business work, who are creating success for you, who are helping you reach your goals. And if you're not taking care of your people, then they're not going to take care of you. They're not going to help make the business work. They're not going to help make these beautiful, successful goals that you have for 2026 come to fruition. So it might be worth it. Okay. It might be to pause and give some recognition and appreciation to your people. Even if you spend like 1% of your budget on a recognition program or took, 1% of the time that you spend with your employees to just give some appreciation, what would that look like? And the truth is that it's going to help more than it's going to hurt you
Mhm.
pausing the money, pausing the time to refunnel it to recognition and appreciation.
So what are some practical, practically, what does that look like? What does that sound like? And notice I timed that just right, where you're getting a drink while I ask the
No,
question.
it's good. Well, and that's a hard answer, right? That's the same as you asking me, what is the key to being a perfect leader? Okay, there's no key. There's no perfect right answer. And I've worked with industries from the United States Air Force to Johnson and Johnson to healthcare and education, right? Like wide variety, um, small to large. It depends.
Mm,
It depends
mhm.
on who's on your team. It depends on what they need. It depends on what your business is. It depends on what your goals are. And let's be very realistic. And this is something that it's really good that we're talking about this because you say recognition program, and my mind might think one thing and yours might think another.
Mhm.
Now,
Right.
before I was a speaker, consultant, and coach, I did 15 years in the realm of education. So that past chapter of my life is going to share out we all learn different, right? We all need different things. And if I'm saying, okay, guys, when you meet this goal, everybody gets extra money. Okay, great. That might be really wonderful for you. But for me, as a mom of two, what I might really need is not extra money. I might need extra time because it's more important to me that I make all my kids things. So if you want to keep me, maybe my reward doesn't need to be extra money. Maybe my reward needs to be extra time. Or give it to Charles in the corner. If Charles is being recognized and he absolutely despises being the center of attention, and your idea of recognition and appreciation is to make a really big reception in front of everybody,
Right.
Charles may cry and quit, right? So if you don't know your people, that means we're backtracking to the power of communication, connection, and confidence. Like you've got to know your people. You've got to have a relationship with them so that they're confident in you as a leader. They're confident in what's next. If you don't have those pieces in place, you could still miss the mark with recognition and appreciation.
So I'm glad you brought that one up because I wouldn't say I'm an introvert. My wife laughs when I say that because she knows what a real introvert looks like, and I'm a little more ambivert. But that principle of what is important to the individuals and the fact that people are wired differently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at a little bit of contrast between the two of us on the screen right
Mm-hmm.
now. You're young, I'm old. Your
Oh,
hair's dark,
nice.
my hair's gray. Your colors are all bright. My colors are rather subdued. You're very animated.
I am very
I'm slightly animated. When you talked about education, I'll tell the ones listening. You wouldn't be surprised to know that Julie was teaching debate and speech. So anyway,
animated.
um,
Mm-hmm.
God made us as the variety in the workplace is very varied, and the fact that different people need and appreciate different things. Okay, I'm going to drop. I've asked for your thoughts, but I'm going to drop one more in
Do it.
here.
Let's hear.
One
Of
one thing
course.
I've discovered as part of recognition is everybody, they may not like to be made a big deal of in front of a crowd, be asked to give an impromptu speech when they're being recognized, but
Right.
everybody likes to be appreciated.
100%.
Sometimes it's a quiet appreciation, sometimes it's a shout it from the rooftops, but we cannot appreciate too much.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
Other thoughts?
Well, I do want to say I appreciate you calling me young because I just got off of a meeting with a 20 something, and the reminder is that like I'm not. So it's beautiful. But back to your
You just
point.
called me really old is what just happened there. So,
No, I
all
didn't
right.
mean it like that. But
Carry on.
I do love pointing out, I mean, wide variety, right? What you need, what I need. And the call I just got off of the 20 something, she needs something different too. But you are right. There's no lack of need for appreciation. And matter of fact, SHRM, the Shroom organization,
Mhm.
they did a ton of research, which that doesn't surprise you. They did a ton of research on recognition and the power of that. And here's what they found outside of like just Eric and Julie saying you should do the thing. They're saying you should do the thing because it links to improving trust. It links to psychological safety. It links to a more engaged employee, and it links to this collaboration feel, especially when you are adding in peer recognition. But
Mhm.
I mean, if we're going to take it up a notch to not just like your leaders should be recognizing you, if you're going peer to peer recognition, well, I mean, where are they going to get that idea from? It's just like parenting, right?
Mhm.
You can't just like hope that they do what you say. They're going to do what you do.
Right.
So you have to think through, how am I showing up as a leader? Because how do I want my people to show up? Like if I want my people to be like, hey, Charles, great job on this, and not, not just like sweep under the rug that he worked super crazy hard on something you guys were doing together. Well, you're going to create that kind of camaraderie by showcasing that kind of
Mhm.
camaraderie, by highlighting people the way you hope that they highlight each other. So I think that's an important note that you can throw in. And that, that links to everything that we do as leaders. When you're leading an organization, how do you want your people to be? How do
Mhm.
you want them to be with each other? And then the real question is, how are you creating a culture and an environment that fosters that?
Exactly. So it's interesting you went that direction. First, the culture, the power this has of helping shape, because my view, our cultures are lived, shared values.
Mm,
And if we're recognizing things that align with our values, what are we doing? We're encouraging people. Hey, I love that. Do more of that. That
mhm.
created value. That that makes us better. Yes, do more of that. But then you also bringing up the peer. There,
Yeah.
I think often when we think of recognition, it's I, as the boss, need to make sure I'm recognizing what's going on with my team. Absolutely. But that peer to peer, or I've seen this happen and it's really powerful. I had a peer as an executive who was really good at doing this with people on my team. He would recognize them, he would talk about my team, and that they got to where they were used to hearing it from me, but when they're hearing it from others, and it's emphasizing those characteristics and lived values that are important to us as an organization, that's really cool.
That is very cool.
And think about, I've heard, I don't remember who was that did this. I'd have to go chase down the anecdote. It's an executive leader who would write thank you notes to the
Mhm.
parents of her employees. Thank you for raising this kind of son and daughter who is contributing like this in our workplace.
How cool
Don't you
is
know
that?
that's going to get back to the kid? And the kid
Mhm.
may be 60 years old, and still the parents are hearing about the feedback. That's really powerful.
Yeah, that person probably did a stint in education. Let's be real.
Yeah,
I
good.
mean, I love that approach. And I mean, if you know my message at all, which if you're listening, you probably don't, but Eric does, notes and quotes, the power of like taking the time to write a note is one of
Right.
the things that I also talk about because it's just so powerful. In the realm of communication, nonverbal, verbal, vocal, the most powerful of all three of the three codes of a message is nonverbal. And I know that our face and our gestures are for sure a part of that, but so is taking the time to non-verbally, I'm going to write a note because it's
Yes.
not the conversation we're having. It's the action and the intention behind doing something additional that is not a text message or an email.
Mhm.
It is I took the time to handwrite you a note. That's
Yes.
just so rare. So in today's world, it's extra powerful.
Because it's so rare.
Mm.
It
Mm.
I've that's been a practice in my world for a long time. I've benefited from it, and
Yeah.
even when it wasn't as rare, it was meaningful. Now it's
Always.
really meaningful.
Always. Yeah.
So I want to throw you. Oh, you're about to say something. Then I'm going
No,
to throw
go
you.
throw it. Let's go. You know
So
me. Come on.
here's a curveball.
Okay.
Recognition in a different sense. Think a larger organization, like maybe you were teaching in the high school back in your previous
Okay.
previous realm, right? A lot of people in the workplace. What is the power of recognize not just recognition for contribution, but actually even just recognizing who the person is in a large
Mm.
workplace?
Well, I love that you
Knowing their
just,
name.
well, totally. I love that you just threw in my education piece. So let's just, let's put a pin and let's recap a little bit more about that space for me. So for me, and I know that it's hard for some businesses to go, how does education and this lady who like coach teams actually link to the space that I'm in? The truth is, I mean, I coached 120 kids on a team. We traveled every other weekend from September to June, and we were top 5% in the nation. So competitive does not even describe the feel of my classroom. And at one point, I had a classroom of 69 kids in one class, and I was coaching 16 curriculums at one time. The district and teachers from around the state would come watch how we ran because it was so insane. Because the reality is, to coach well that many people, you have to have a lot of systems in place. Okay. And for you to be able to start over, I mean, let's put that into terms of business. I had a new leadership team every single year. I didn't get to keep the same president and vice president. We had to switch every single year. And then we had to upload new employees every single year and still hold on to a culture. So in order for us to hold on to that culture, it had to be ingrained. Okay. And now that starts cross applying to our teams. And it's what I found when I first started speaking, and I thought, oh, I'll just end up in the education sector. You want to know who does not hire me the most? It is education. Everyone else is like, oh yeah, our team, right? Because it links the lessons that I learned from my high school students, and in those moments of creating culture with a team that large, that's really valuable, and it translates. Now, recognizing the best kid in the class is always easy, but recognizing the kid who is trying the hardest, recognizing the kid who is working over issues that you cannot fathom,
Right.
right? Those are how you create connection, which is why communication, connection, confidence all fold together for culture for me. It is not just, I'm communicating that I recognize and appreciate you. It is connecting enough with each and every single person on your team that you know what it is, not only that they need, but you know what it is that they contribute. And I, one of my very favorite, and I do it now, tools is I've got this legacy lens tool, but it originated in my classroom. And in January, I would stand in front of my class and I would talk about the legends of my team. And I would share out, okay, I remember this kid because he was my very first national champion and he was homeless his entire senior year. I remember this kid because he was my very first poetry state champion, and our school had never had one. I remember this kid because she was very adamant about being nice to all the freshmen who she was worried about. I remember this kid because he was the kindest to everyone on the team, right? Like legends in my mind from 13 years of coaching at that point, right? Were not just the champions. They were the kids who were going above and beyond in different ways, but still pouring into our culture because I had in my mind what I wanted our culture to look and feel and function like. So if you want to back up as a leader of any organization, what do you hope your culture looks like, feels like, and functions like? And then creating that, if you just recognize and highlight the wins, if you just recognize those who are doing well, but you're not recognizing the people that are the boots on the ground, or you're not recognizing the people that are collaborating to create those wins, or you're not recognizing the mom who just started and a single mom working extra hours that's learning the business like crazy, right? Like, I get it when your team is success driven and you need to be able to pull in the numbers. Like, totally, I'm not saying abandon that. but I'm saying you're going to get more buy-in when you have connection. So see where they are, meet them where they are, make sure that you're celebrating along the way and not just your top earners. Because if you take away everybody else and only keep your top earners, you don't have a team.
Right.
And if you lose a top earner tomorrow, how are you going to replace them? And does your business fall with one person? And I think that's key. Let's just pause on that. And I'm going to say that again. If you lose your top person, does your business fall apart? Because if you've not created the next step up, if you've not created next year's leadership, right? Then you're killing your culture slowly. Your culture cannot be wrapped up in your leadership team. Your culture cannot be wrapped up in your top earners. Your culture is boots on the ground, which is why when I do strategic planning, I'm like, who from the bottom is going to be there? Because if leadership's like, these are going to be our focus pillars for the rest of the year, and I'm telling you what we're doing, and you never heard, oh, this is how that could go wrong because you aren't the one doing that, then you're setting yourself up for a failure. So if you want true engagement and you want true culture shifts, it cannot just be recognizing the top. You have to connect with all types of people and team and figure out what is it that we need to celebrate in order for us to continue to grow the kind of culture we want to create.
We've got a risk right now, which is we've got so much to talk about.
I know.
I want to pause on that thought because it's so powerful. As a finance person who's worked in and regularly working with people in the support functions, that reminder of the contribution is happening throughout the organization, not just the shiny people on the top necessarily. That's so powerful. And the recognition, calling out the contribution wherever it's happening.
Yeah.
At whatever stage it's happening. Sometimes the contribution, like you said, is you've learned that well. We're so excited of where that sets you up for what's next. Yeah. Julie, I want to keep going. We may come back and do a separate conversation building on this one.
Well, I do want to say this before we jump off, just like one little wrap up thought.
Great. That was the next thing is, what do you want to say before we wrap up?
Okay. So if you were to think about and this is for you, not like a push for me. I want to say this for you as a wrap up. If you're listening and you're thinking about your team and you're thinking about what we've talked about with recognition and appreciation, and you're possibly going, oh my gosh, how am I going to make that happen? And what does that even look like? Because I know that we kind of dabbled on all those things. Hear me say this. As you think through your organization, what is your number one issue that if you could snap your fingers and in a perfect world, it would be fixed? What I hear often when I ask that question of leaders is true engagement from my people, not quiet quitters, not I want to get out of here for lunch so bad because I hate being here. It is I'm putting my whole head and heart into this while I'm here because I am engaged. And also hear that there's been studies, Harvard just published one recently that said you're going to get 5 times more engagement from your people if you have some sort of recognition and appreciation. So don't get lost in how do I do this? And this seems like a lot. Know that whatever you do and whatever you choose for your people is going to get you more engagement. And if you were to get 5 times more engagement from your people, it's worth the money and it is worth the time that it's going to take for you to pause, celebrate your people, or whatever it is you choose to do. Just don't sit by idly and do nothing, because you're losing out on 5 times more engagement from your people and you don't want that. And if you're stuck and you're thinking like, I don't even know what our focus is and I don't know how to move forward. Okay, then let's chat, because strategic planning is one of my very favorite games to play. And we can throw all of your people in one space and we can talk about what helps them power through the most in order to accomplish the goals that your organization needs to accomplish. Because that's what makes me a little different in my strat planning, is that we talk about the whole team and how everybody can show up as their best self to contribute with that kind of engagement. So I appreciate your time, Eric, and letting me rattle on about something that I'm crazy passionate about. And if you're listening and you're thinking, oh, I would like to follow this crazy lady, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Come find me. I'm all in for more people in my space.
She's not hard to find. You can also check out julieschniers.com, and I'll put some of her contact information in the notes with the video. Julie, if only you were passionate about this topic,
I mean, I hate that I'm so boring too. Like I just
So,
I move too much and I get so excited. So forgive me. But talking about this with you was such a gift today, Eric.
well,
You are
good.
obviously good at what you do, and I appreciate your time too.
You're very kind. Lots of good stuff here to listen to and think about. Thanks for listening.